All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to PFK The Show Legends League. This is the second divisional breakdown looking at the NL West. Starting out here with the Giants, who had the third pick in the draft, so they had to wait almost the longest on when we went the long way through the snake. Second pick in the draft. And the Giants were so lucky to get the best player in Giants history, arguably, which is kind of crazy to even say that there's an argument there. But the best player, I think, in Giants history, Willie Mays, fell by good providence to the San Francisco Giants. It was meant to be. Looking around the Giants lineup, they've got a platoon of Cap Anson and Will Clark at first base, Jeff Kent over at second, Barry Larkin at short, Manny Machado at third with Joe Torre at catcher, an outfield of Tony Gwynn in left, Willie Mays in center field, and a platoon in right of Duke Snider and Andrew McCutchen. This outfield is in the running for the best outfield in our game. Willie Mays is arguably the 101 best player as rated in PFK The Show. And Tony Gwynn, though he doesn't have the pop, that's about as good as you can ask for from your left fielder in terms of being fast enough to cover the space that Willie Mays doesn't cover, and then being an incredible hitter to hit at the top of this rotation or top of this order. It doesn't get much better than that. And then in right field, employing this platoon of Andrew McCutchen and Duke Snider really gets the most out of both players, the lefty-righty split, and both of them are, again, a good enough fielder that they don't even have to be fast to make up for any ground that Mays and Gwynn aren't covering. It's just nasty. Let's see here. I really think of the Giants as being a five-tool team from front to back. Just about everybody on this roster you'll see all the attributes are high in every direction because just about everybody can hit, just about everybody can field, and almost everybody's fast. The only exception is Miguel Cabrera, who's going to be spending a lot of his time at DH. But everybody else can really do it all, and that goes for the bench as well. Darryl Strawberry, Jose Ramirez, Orlando Cepeda, it's just a really, really deep team. Over on the rotation side of things, got Clayton Kershaw, Juan Marichal, Garrett Cole, Catfish Hunter, and Mike Scott, though there could be some battle for that fifth rotation spot in spring training between MLB The Show superstar Blake Snell and Mike Scott. Another top-heavy rotation, though I don't think it quite meets the cap of some of the rotations that we've seen so far. Kershaw and Cole are nails pitchers. Marichal fell pretty far, maybe because his velocity and his home run and strikeout numbers aren't as great as some of the other guys in that tier. But he's still a 99 overall. He's got 95 walk prevention stat and 98 stamina. So there's really not a weakness in this rotation, while it doesn't stand out as being maybe top tier. But what is top tier is this bullpen. Josh Hader, Will Smith, Greg Holland, Dick Raditz, Rod Beck, and Rob Nen. This team is a nightmare. And I really think that the Giants' rotation strategy was just all about quantity. It's not as much about having a Christy Mathewson or a Roger Clemens that's just going to be the ace that's going to lock you down once every 5 games. Everybody can pitch from front to back, and they're all pretty darn good. Nen may be bordering on absolutely elite, but no, he'll walk some people. It's quantity over that super top tier quality. And with the lineup like the Giants have, I think that's going to be enough to carry him pretty far. I thought the Giants' best picks from the draft was taking Marichal and Tony Gwynn at the 4-5 turn. Again, 2 players that I thought could have gone in the first 3 rounds super easily, and I wouldn't have blinked an eye. And he got them at 4 and 5. It's pretty great. And then he got his potential 5th starter, Mike Scott, in the 23rd round, which was pretty fantastic. The keys for the Giants, in my eyes, is all about the rotation. I think that one of Mike Scott, Catfish Hunter, or Ian Snell needs to be deserving of one of these 2 spots. It's quite possible that all 3 of them just aren't quite up to the Legends League standard and are going to put up ERAs like, I don't know where these stats are coming from that are on screen, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Mike Scott with a 12.86 ERA at some point. But I also wouldn't be surprised if one of these guys did hold down that 4 or 5 slot really admirably, ERA around 4, striking out enough people to still pile up the wins, and more importantly, get through the 6th inning so that this bullpen can shut things down. The second key is that there need to not be any black holes in this bullpen. It's a deep pen, but you never know when somebody's repertoire just isn't quite going to work against the opponents you're facing, and all of a sudden a Greg Holland has a ballooned ERA and 4 losses real quick. As long as there aren't any absolute black holes in this bullpen and everybody pitches okay, I think that this rotation is really going to work. And then the final key for the San Francisco Giants is that a meteor doesn't hit and destroy everybody in their lineup. Because short of that, there's nothing that's going to stop this team from hitting. It's insane. This could be the best lineup in the game. They're right up there with the Angels from the teams that I've done a deep dive so far. And maybe I even give the Angels starting lineup a little advantage by a hair, but the Giants have the depth to back it up. To where I think that wins out over the course of a 162-game season. On to the Padres. So the Padres have a really interesting roster construction that I'm referring to as the bashers and burners. Everybody on this team is either lightning quick or just hits the snot out of the ball. And there's not much in between. Just about everybody can field. This is definitely in the argument for the best defensive team in the league. And based on what I've done analysis of so far, it is my top defensive rated team. So we got, let me pull up the Athletics depth chart here. Oh, no, he's the Athletics in our other PFK, the stream. Okay, the Padres have Hank Greenberg at first base, Joe Morgan at second, Willie Wells at short, Josh Donaldson at third with Joe Mauer behind the plate. Tim Raines taking over duties in center field with shoeless Joe Jackson in right and Cristobal Torriente, one of the Padres' best draft picks, Manning's left field. The pitching rotation is Satchel Paige, Tim Lincecum, Bullet Rogan, Lefty Gomez, and Babe Adams. So Cristobal Torriente, I thought, was one of the big coups for the Padres here. Sorry if I kept saying A's earlier. Torriente was picked in the 15th, and it was one of those picks that kind of sent a shockwave through Discord. A bunch of people had been asking about him and maybe setting him up to pick in the next round. And then all of a sudden, the Padres come and snag him out of nowhere. And look at those stats. It's just too good from front to back to last into the 15th round. His other big pick that I really liked was Javi Lopez, which for some reason isn't in the... Oh, because Joe Mauer's there. Yeah, Javi Lopez in the 14th round was an incredible catcher value. He doesn't stand out with any one talent. He's not the best defensive catcher. He's not the best power catcher. But as a backup catcher, I mean, he's going to allow Joe Mauer to shift over to DH at some days and stay fresh and keep that bat in the lineup. I thought this was a great pick. And then over to the pitching rotation, we can see what will either end up being the best or worst pick of the draft from the Padres, which was taking Dennis Eckersley and Raleigh Fingers at the 5-6 turn. The first relief pitchers off the board outside of, I think Mariano Rivera had already gone. But other than that, they might end up being the Padres' best players. These stats are crazy high, and their stamina is high for a reliever. Most relievers have a stamina of 25, and these guys both have 35. So we could see the AI use them for 6-out saves, probably more often come in with an out in the 8th inning. But between those two guys and the rest of this bullpen, the Padres' strength is really at the back end of the game. So my keys for the Padres are... The first one is to not have allowed more than 3 runs through 6 innings. If this starting rotation can do that and get the ball over to this incredible bullpen, I think that's going to be all it takes for this team to book a trip to the playoffs. That means that their starters need to produce a 4.5 ERA, which is equal to 3 runs through 6 innings. And I think that that's more than achievable for Satchel Paige and Tim Lincecum and crew. The second key is that they actually get on base enough to make this speed actually hurt. Tim Raines, Willie Wells, Cristobal Torriente, shoeless Joe Jackson, Joe Morgan, and there's one more guy. Is there? Nope, that's it. All those guys can run. But if they can't get on base enough, then it doesn't matter in the first place. Of course, the speed will be useful, especially for these outfield guys tracking down balls, but that's my only real concern for this lineup is that they don't get on base enough to make this really hurt. Otherwise, if they do get on base, this team's going to be a nightmare to play. And the last key is that this tandem of McCovey and Greenberg, who are really supplying the pot for this whole team, combine for at least 80 home runs. If they can do that, I think this lineup works, and I think that the bashers and burners can actually make it to the playoffs. And lastly, we're going to LA, the home of the Dodgers. The Dodgers selected with the 8th pick on the way out, which was it's some number pick on the way back. Another middle round pick, which, as I've been thinking, has been an advantage from what I've seen so far. The Dodgers took Oscar Charleston with their first pick, which I thought was amazing. Got a bunch of these absolute legends going before him. Here's how the first round went. Ken Griffey Jr., Willie Mays, Babe Ruth, Barry Bonds goes 4th, Hank Aaron goes 5th, Roger Clemens, the first pitcher off the board, goes 6th, Mickey Mantle goes 7th to the Tigers, and then this guy, Oscar Charleston. Still Ted Williams and Joe DiMaggio to go, Luke Gehrig and Mike Trout on the clock, but nope, Oscar going to LA. It was a bold pick. The stats absolutely back it up, if not the legend. And if this guy can be an MVP candidate, then the Dodgers are going to look like geniuses grabbing this guy at 8th overall. So the Dodgers have an infield of Paul Goldschmidt at first, Bobby Doer, I think it's Bobby Doer at second base. Got Pop Lloyd at shortstop and George Brett at third. In the outfield, Oscar Charleston in center, Tris Speaker in left, and Minnie Minoso in right. That is so crazy that Oscar Charleston, Tris Speaker, and Minnie Minoso isn't the best outfield in this division. If it wasn't for Willie Mays and Tony Gwynn, I think it would be. It's also crazy that this team, if you look at all the fielding ratings as I go down, just maxed out green for most of these guys. And yet this team isn't the best fielding team in their division because the Padres are there. So if you can somehow put together almost the best fielding team and almost the best outfield, then yeah, this division is going to be nuts. I think that this is the division of death for the Legends League, and I'm sorry for you three guys that you have to face each other so much. Okay. Looking over at the Dodgers pitching rotation, I've got Jacob deGrom, Rube Waddell, Hilton Smith, Hal Newhouser, and Eddie Plank. 4 of these guys I had never heard of, really, before we did this Legends League. I think I'd maybe heard of Newhouser, but I certainly hadn't heard of Rube Waddell. But holy crap, he's a good pitcher. And the Dodgers were able to snag him in the 6th round and got deGrom in the 5th. So to get these 2 99 overall pitchers in the 5th and 6th rounds, I thought were the best picks of the draft for the Dodgers. And another huge coup was taking Jim Rice in the 16th round, which was way too late for his talent. Over in the bullpen, got a really deep pen, but a lot of them are starters. So we've got Craig Kimbrell to close the door. He does his actual bird arm stance thing. It's just as stupid in game as it is in real life. You guys will love it. And just like real Craig Kimbrell, he's going to walk a lot of people, be really wild, and then strike everybody else out. So the Dodgers better be ready for a roller coaster because it's coming. Tom Hankey, another incredible back end of the bullpen piece. But that's it for relievers. Everybody else here is a starter. Now you'll notice that they're all over 90s, so it's not like these guys are going to be bad. But it's just going to be a big gamble by the Dodgers to see if this collection of starters can actually hold it down and get the ball to the 8th inning so that Hankey and Kimbrell can close it out. And that leads right into my first key for... Yeah, that is my first key for the Dodgers, is that Hankey and Kimbrell are actually nails so that these other 10 arms can get the job done. I think deGrom is going to speak for himself. He's going to be great. Waddell could be great. And then it's really these other 8 guys kind of combining to do the job of like 5 guys. If they can do that and these guys are nails, then this rotation will actually work. It's a risk, but it could work. My second key, which I mentioned earlier, is that Oscar Charleston actually plays up to his draft capital. If he is as valuable as the 8th pick off the board, then I think that the Dodgers are booking a ticket to the playoffs. And then really, this one is a lot more intangible than a lot of the other keys. But I think the Dodgers have to end up playing a lot of late, close games because this lineup is full of clutch. So if we look, Tris Speaker with 94, Pop Lloyd with 81, 98 for Charleston, 95 for Rice, 95 for Berra, 99 for George Brett, 89 for Minoso, 92 for Goldschmidt, Doer not so much. But that's insane. These guys thrive in the moment. Turkey Stearns, another late pick by the Dodgers, thrives in the clutch moment and has the pop to come in and hit a walk-off home run or two. So I really think that's the key. If the Dodgers can be taking people late in games and keeping the game close, then they're going to be putting themselves in a position to win more often than not. Alrighty. So that is it on the NL West. After what I've done on paper, my prediction is that the San Francisco Giants and this insane lineup are going to take the NL West. Just like with the AL West, these things are they can change on a dime. I think that it's just as likely that the Giants' pitching rotation just doesn't quite match the skills that their lineup's putting out, and they just never really get over the hump. Meanwhile, Satchel Paige, Tim Lincecum, Jacob deGrom, and Rube Waddell are just mowing people down. But really, I think that the strength in this game has to come from the batting order. It's just how I've seen the Sims play out more often than not, though not all the time. So I'm going to guess that the Giants take the NL West. If anybody wants to see some actual player deep dives, go ahead and post them in the chat now. I'm on my way to the M's. Bench bats and bullpen and Guidry. And let's scroll over the bullpen. I know Sanguian was a snipe on a few people that were planning on taking him within those rounds. It was really fun being able to know who you all were taking before it actually happened. It was very entertaining. And then you wanted Guidry. Any other requests for player cards that people want to see from the AL West or NL West? Cool. Oh yeah, and then also looking at the Cupcake teams. So the Colorado Rockies are going to be our steroid era place for people who didn't do steroids. So this is people who played from roughly from the 1990s through 2000s. And where's their lineups? And of course, legacy Rockies that you just can't take off the team. But we'll get some Dante Bichette, Vinny Castilla, some Charlie Blackmon mixed in with some Brian Roberts and Moises Alou and BJ Surhoff and Tim Salmon. That'll be a fun team. And then we've got the Arizona Diamondbacks, the D-backs, who we are making the D-bags. So everybody who's like a criminal or who's a hothead or who likes to fight people, they're going to the D-bags, and of course mixed in with people, nice guys like Tony Womack who actually played for the Diamondbacks. And then another fun thing that has absolutely no bearing on our actual Legends League is that minor leagues still exist. So, you know, there's a bunch of players down here like Corey Seager that didn't get drafted by any team because he doesn't quite make the cut. But he's going to be playing in AAA Oklahoma City for the Dodgers alongside Bill Buckner and Carlos Pena and some other weird guys that randomly end up together. Yasiel Puig is down in AA with Dusty Baker and Gavin Lux. It's odd. Let's see, who's this? Padres minor leagues will feature Ryan Klesko alongside Will Myers. Some Everth Cabrera. You can't call them up, but you can acquire them as free agents. So, I mean, everybody who isn't drafted is available. You can pick them up through waivers. You just have to drop somebody. Pablo Sandoval slumming it down in Double-A with JT Snow and Brandon Crawford, who should probably start. Nope, Rich Aurelia's there. That's awesome. And then let's look at, I liked the Mariners minor leagues. Like, this is a fun team. I'd love to play with Dave Valley and Dan Wilson, and Kyle Seager and Alvin Davis. And then Richie Amaral and Raul Ibanez down in Double-A here with Joey Cora. And who else do we have? A's minor leagues. Miguel Tejada and Matt Olson playing alongside Eric Chavez. Chris Davis on the bench there. Marcus Semien in Double-A with Jurickson Profar and Dave Henderson. There's a blast from the past. And who else do we have? Angels. Sadly, we actually do have David Eckstein in the game. Mike Napoli. Sean Figgins is in the Angels Double-A system because I couldn't not have Sean Figgins in the game. The L icons next to players are in-game legends. So this means that this isn't a community-created Wade Boggs. This is a Wade Boggs that was made by San Diego Studios. However, let's see if there's a good example. Somebody else. Oh, I know. Go to the Cardinals pitching rotation. So, like, oh no, we did keep the legend Babe Ruth. So when we had the duplicate Babe Ruths at the start of this, one of them had an L and the other one didn't, meaning the one that didn't was a user-created Babe Ruth. We kept the one with the L so that it would be the real face scan from San Diego Studios, because that's just cooler. David Wells doesn't have an L because they didn't bother to make David Wells in the game. So this is just some random person on the internet made a David Wells, and now we're using it. Yeah. All right, y'all. I'm going to sign off for the night. I'll be back tomorrow with previews for the NL Central and AL Central, and I'll keep making some silly predictions, and yeah, getting ready to actually get this sucker going. I'll see y'all soon. Later.